Hey, I'm Sam with the BYU Software Training Lab, and this video is about the Procreate Interface. In the last video, we learned about gallery view and how to make your own canvas. I just made a new canvas, so we're going to use this one today. First of all, I want to go through the Procreate Interface. In the Procreate Interface, we have this toolbar along the top and a smaller toolbar on the side. Gallery at the top left, if we click on that, it takes us back to the gallery. Again, tapping brings us back to the canvas. This little wrench in the top, that's the Settings and Preferences tab. There's a ton of stuff on this tab. In the Add section, you can add a photo or copy and paste. There's an easy way to do that we'll talk about later. In Canvas, you can do things like cropping and resizing it. You can also change to different modes like animation, which lets you animate things. Page Assist, which makes every layer a different page as opposed to layers on top of each other. And drawing guides. We'll talk about those later. Share is how you export things in Procreate. Video is how to do a time-lapse recording. So if you've seen on social media or anything like that, how people have a really quick video of them drawing something really fast, that's how you do those videos. Preferences can change a bunch of things. If you're right-handed or left-handed, you can change that. You can change it to dark interface or light interface. Things like that are all in here. The Help tab lets you go to the Procreate Handbook or just look at a couple other things about the app. The next tab with a little magic wand is the Adjustments tab. That's essentially an Effects tab, and it lets you add all sorts of cool effects to your drawing. We'll go over this later. In order to show you the next tab, I'm going to draw something really quickly. Here's just a little squiggle. The next tab is the Selection tab. At the bottom of the Selection tab, we have this little toolbar with a bunch of different options for how you can select things. For example, you can select with a rectangle, we can freehand something, or use an ellipse. And you can stack these. So I'm making more and more selections, and they're stacking on top of it. So I'm increasing the selection. This is the Transform tool. And that takes everything that we've drawn inside that selection. Even though our selection is bigger than this, it only takes whatever we've drawn in the selection, because that's the only thing that it's going to change. And it also has a toolbar at the bottom with a bunch of different options on how we can warp this or transform it. So Freeform lets you just move it however you want. I'll talk about shortcuts later and how I just undid that. Uniform keeps it uniform. Distort lets you distort it however you like. And Warp lets you warp things like that. To continue with the interface, on the right side, we have the Paintbrush tool that allows you to paint, the Smudge tool that lets you smudge things, the Eraser tool that allows you to erase things, the two little squares, that's your layers, so you can make extra layers. We'll go over this later. And this little circle is the Color tool. We'll talk about that more later, but that lets you change colors. This is the canvas, this big thing. And then on the left, there's the control bar. And this allows you to change sizes of your brushes. So I want it to be really big or really small, or if I want it to be very opaque, so you can almost not see it at all, that kind of stuff. This little box in the middle is called the Modifier tool, and that can be used for different shortcuts and actions and changing the preferences. At the bottom, there's an undo and a redo button. Gestures are a great way to save time. Some of the gesture shortcuts is 2-finger tap to undo. So we do that a bunch of times. This undoes itself. A 3-finger tap to redo. A 4-finger tap hides the interface, so you can draw without any of the interface showing. And then pinch with 2 fingers to zoom and rotate. A 4-finger tap to get the interface back. And that is the Procreate interface. In the next video, we'll talk about brushes.